top of his chest cavity collapsed, so the lung was not staying reinflated on its own. Will's mother, Liz Raymond, spent all 17 days and nights in the hospital, sleeping in Will's room until he was released from the hospital. My first job after the shooting, too, was to be there for Will, to help support his healing, to let him know and feel that he was not alone, to let him know that he is loved and supported. I experienced deep grief over what happened, and still do. It has been very intense, with wave after wave of deep sorrow moving through me. It's all terribly heartbreaking. Our whole family has experienced deep grief and profound sorrow following the horrific, murderous attack by Mr. Ivanov. It is incomprehensible how a young man from our community could do something like this. This was a truly senseless crime with no justification whatsoever. What Mr. Ivanov did was so egregiously wrong. He took the precious lives of 3 innocent young people from us. That they lost their lives at such a young age is beyond tragic. They were good kids from good, loving families. They each had tremendous potential to be and do good in the world. My son Will says they were the best of us. He says, I miss them so much. Our hearts ache for the loss of the young, innocent lives of Jordan Ebner, Jake Long, and Anna Bui. We are witness to the extreme heartache felt by the parents of Jake, Jordan, and Anna. Our hearts go out to their families, to Autumn Snyder and all of Jake's family, to Brad and Nikki Ebner, to Brian and Stacy Schnitzler and all of Jordan's family, to Hung and Rachel, and to Annie and David and all of Anna's family. The pain of their loss is beyond what any human being should have to endure. I say to them, please know that you are not alone. You are in our hearts. This story is an absolute nightmare for all involved. I'm so sad for Vicki and Carl Bratfold and their son Tristan, in whose home this tragedy took place. They have provided a safe, loving home for my son and his friends to hang out for several years. It is horrifying that this happened in their loving home. To Carl and Vicki and Tristan, I say, we love you, and pray that your loving home is cleansed of all negativity from this tragedy. The whole community of Mukilteo was shocked and horrified by this shooting. I give thanks to Mayor Jennifer Gregerson, who is here today, the Mukilteo Police Department, and the other first responders, especially the medic unit who took Will to Harborview Regional Medical Center. I worry about the young men and women who were in the Bratfold house that night. Just as they were reaching the cusp of stepping into adulthood, the 16 survivors were subjected to the horror of seeing their friends gunned down and had to run and hide for their lives. I'm concerned about the impacts of that trauma to their psyches. My son Will, who has been raised to be a kind, fun-loving, thoughtful, friendly to others, and a team player, now says he has endless nightmares, and thoughts that poison his faith in humanity. I know that many of the others, too, have been experiencing symptoms of post-traumatic stress. What they experienced that night is absolutely horrifying. To the 16 survivors, I speak directly to you. Please don't let Mr. Ivanov take anything more from you. To my son Will, and all of his friends that survived that night, to Tristan and Alex and Inyam, to Brandon and Spencer and Andrew, to Devo and EJ and Alexis, to Sean and Christina, and to Tony and Tyler and Natalie and Nikki. For each and every one of you, I pray, together with many, many others, for your healing, for your well-being, for your health, and for your happiness. Our wish for you is to have joyful, meaningful, productive lives. Please do not give in to fear or anger. Let this experience bring you closer together as friends. See the good in each other. Love and appreciate each other and all your loved ones. Please know that this world is filled with many, many good, loving people. Seek out help when you need help. The help will come to you. Life is so precious. We need to do what we can to help make this a kinder, more compassionate world. Keep Jake and Anna in your loving memory. Live love for Jordan. And know that the perpetrator of this crime is going to be put away forever. Mr. Ivanov has shown his extremely defective character, and he needs to pay for his crimes. Yet there is no way to undo the irreparable harm that Mr. Ivanov has caused. There is no way to bring back the precious lives he took so inhumanely. To add insult to injury, he shows no remorse. In fact, on the contrary, he takes pride in his crime. Since the crime, he has written rap lyrics bragging about murdering his girlfriend and aggrandizing himself in such a sick way. For anything approaching justice in this extraordinarily egregious crime, Mr. Ivanov should have no possibility ever for parole. He is a completely defective human being. He is disturbed, irrational, and unstable. He is a deranged coward. He should spend his entire life locked up. It appears to me that Mr. Ivanov was raised as a spoiled brat, that he was given whatever he wanted whenever he wanted it. It appears that he never heard the word no, and a monster was created, such that when Anna Bui didn't want to get back together with him, he couldn't take it. He felt powerless, and he lost it. He quickly went from wanting her to hating her, to wanting to kill her and anyone else she was associated with. You know what he told his friend after he bought the gun? He texted his friend, "I feel good. I have so much power with this gun, so much control." For Mr. Ivanov to be properly punished, his freedom and control should be removed from him to the maximum extent possible. Even within the prison system, His freedom should be limited to the maximum extent possible for as long as possible. Please make that recommendation in his file going to the prison system. He should die in prison. This speedy legal resolution is appreciated. I thank you, Your Honor. I thank the Mukilteo Police Department. I thank Mark Rowe, Adam, and Lisa, Camion, and all of Mark's staff for their work in bringing this case to legal resolution. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
I'd next like to call Alex Levine.
Can I bring my dog up there with me? I have a therapy dog. Can I bring that up there with me?
You may.
Let's go.
Good morning.
Say my name.
Yes.
Alex Levine. It's ALEXLEVINE. Sorry, this is tough, so bear with me.
Take the time you need.
Okay. Could you get a little bit release for me? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. My parents did not give me any brothers, but I still know what it feels like to have brothers. And Alan Ivanov has now made me aware of what it feels like to lose brothers. On July 30th, 2016, just after midnight, I was outside sitting around a fireplace enjoying time with my 3 friends when Alan Ivanov opened fire on us. Jake Long and Jordan Ebner were to my right, and Will Kramer was to my left. All 3 of them were shot. As I quickly got up and turned to run, I felt an intense heat for a split second on my left hand. I did not know at the time that this was a bullet passing my fingertips. As the shots continued, I reached safety behind the house. As I continued running, I heard additional shots coming from inside. Unaware at the time what was occurring, I then ran to the driveway in front of the house. There, I was shot at again from the balcony a few yards above me. I immediately ran down the driveway while the shots continued and made my way down the street to my truck, where I then hid in the driver's seat. Minutes later, I don't remember exactly how long, but minutes later I watched Alan jog past my driver's side window carrying an assault rifle. After he had passed, I ran back to the house, and once I entered, I walked upstairs and I looked down a hallway, and I saw Jordan Ebner laying on the ground motionless with his eyes open. Sorry. At that point, in a state of shock, I ran upstairs and hid inside of a room. I then listened to my friends scream for help, cry, and make calls to 911. Eventually, when the police arrived and we were evacuated from the house, Jordan had been moved by the door, and I walked past my best friend laying on the ground with a bloody shirt and his eyes staring blankly towards the ceiling. Over many years, I'm okay, I'm sorry. Over many years, I had formed thousands of memories with Jordan, but now I'm unable to think of them without also seeing the image of him in that house, on the floor. I'm very fortunate to be here today and speak to the court, as there's no reason other than luck that my fate did not turn out the same as my friends. Jake Long had been one of my closest friends since 4th grade. Jordan Ebner and I had been inseparable since the beginning of high school. We had all often shared our dreams of the future and what we wanted to accomplish, but Alan Ivanov put an end to those dreams for them. Anna Bui had also been a good friend of mine since middle school when we first met. I think I could say for anyone that knew her that she was one of the most caring and happy people I've ever had the pleasure to know. The pain I have felt daily since this incident is beyond what I ever believed to be possible. The constant grief, guilt, and inability to understand why this happened has plagued the life of myself and everyone affected by this tragedy. At the age of 19, I had to attend 3 of my friends' funerals in the span of 2 weeks. There is no age where you should have to carry your friend's casket down the aisle, but I know for sure 19 is far too young for that experience. The following months, I was affected with depression, crippling anxiety, and panic attacks, which would occur multiple times a day. I had to watch as my family tried their best to assist me through things that they could not understand, and I was helpless in aiding them with the struggles this had put on them. Anna Ivanov has taken away the feeling of safety that I have in life. I had never experienced someone with a complete lack of empathy or control over basic emotions, but now I have become all too aware that they do in fact exist in this world, and you don't know who they are. 3 weeks after the incident, I left for Arizona to attend my second year of university, and after 2 months, I had to drop out after being unable to deal with the mental and physical issues the experience had left with me. I would like to ask the justice system to place the strictest possible punishment on Alan Ivanov for what he has done. His freedom should be taken from his life, just as he took freedom away from Jake, Jordan, and Anna. Through prescriptions and countless hours of therapy, I have stopped letting this event have a complete control over my life. But even with the emotions numbed, I will never be able to completely escape them. No amount of counseling or medication will ever be able to help the fact that I will now not be able to grow up with my closest friends. I will not be able to text them when I'm in need. I will not be able to meet up with them and watch Seahawks games every fall. I will not be able to see them find their careers and make a difference in this world. I will not be able to introduce them to the girl I fall in love with. I will not be able to ask them to be the groomsmen at my wedding. I will not be able to let them meet my children. And I will not be able to tell them, just one more time, how much I love them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Levine.
Let's go.
With the court's permission, may I address the gallery to see if there's anybody else who wishes to speak?
You may.
Other than the families of those who died, is there anyone else who was directly affected, who was at the party, or a family member who wishes to address the court before we turn to the family members of those who died? Then, Your Honor, I'd like to introduce Anna Bui. Come and speak.
Good morning, Ms. Bui.
Good morning. My name is Anna Bui, and spelled Phhuong, B-U-I, and I'm the cousin of Anna Bui. There are no words to convey the amount of sadness and hurt that I have endured over the very tragic and very public death of my cousin Anna. I am her cousin, and this has deeply impacted my life in the way I view the world. So I can't even begin to fathom what her parents and siblings must be going through and how they are feeling. The death of Anna was single-handedly the most painful thing that has ever happened to me. I had an extremely hard time processing all of this. I was so confused. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to behave. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was numb, and the world around me kind of stopped. Anna was a bright, beautiful young woman. She was kind and she was loving. She was a good person and made a positive impact on the people around her, and she made the world a better place. I don't understand why she is no longer here, and why some of us, who aren't half the kind-hearted person she was, are still here, myself included. Call it survivor skills, but it's not fair. It's got me wondering how the universe can be so cruel. I view the world differently now. I'm not as happy. I'm a little more jaded, a lot less trusting, and very much more paranoid. In a sense, I've kind of lost faith in humanity. The day we laid Anna to rest, I was supposed to be in Mexico, but instead, I was at St. Mary's Magdalene, staring down at my baby cousin laying in her casket, her beautiful face completely shattered from the multiple gunshot wounds. It was reconstructed. If I didn't know that was her, I would not have been able to recognize her. Her long, beautiful hair. Now, a simple wig that's a bob. I was standing beside her casket holding my iPhone and FaceTiming family members in Vietnam who weren't able to make it on such short notice. I turned to my side and watched her father, my uncle, kneeling beside her casket, tenderly caressing her face, crying, and begging for his daughter to come back. A person does not get over that, and it's changed me forever. Every time I remember that image, my heart breaks over and over again. It has not gotten easier over time. I would not wish an ounce of hurt my family and I felt on anyone, not even on the person who caused it all. And while the outcome of this hearing does not bring back a family member, it does bring a sense of peace to our family. Peace in knowing that no one else will ever be hurt from this person again. I know I speak on behalf of my family when I say that there are no resentments and no ill wishes towards Mr. Ivanov. We do not hate him because hating him is exhausting, and we forgive him for taking Anna away. We forgive him for bringing us all the pain. Not forgiving him does not bring Anna back. So that's what we have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bui.
I'd like to call Tanya Nguyen.
Amen. Good morning, Mr. Nguyen.
N-G-U-Y-E-N. Your Honor, my name is Tony Nguyen and I'm a youth leader with the Vietnamese Eucharistic Youth Movement, the Holy Spirit chapter in North Everett. For many years, Anna called us her second family. She grew up in our youth group at the tender age of 6, and I had the wonderful privilege and blessing of teaching and mentoring Anna for many years while she was in our youth group. At first, when I was told that I would have the opportunity to speak my mind as to my thoughts would be on the effects of what happened and what this person should receive, as a time server, I felt I knew exactly what to say. But when you sit down and you begin to start writing, you kind of get lost. We all know what this person has done. He has ripped away the joy and the spirit of who Anna was and still is. While alive, Anna was a joyful and lively individual with a heart of gold for others. From the very beginning in our youth group, she was always the one to turn to when you needed a bright smile with a contagious laughter. Her kind heart was always apparent by the way she interacted with others around her, inciting obnoxious and continuous laughter day after day. Unfortunately, we can never hear that laughter again. We can never see her smile light up a room again. When I think about the impact of what he has done, I think about a huge loss, what a huge loss this is for our community. For our children growing up, the chance to emulate, look up to, and admire a compassionate young woman of strength, love, and courage was ripped away from them. Emotionally, this tragic event has taken a toll on everyone. If you just take a moment and imagine a youth group of 150 kids asking you why. Why did this have to happen? There are no answers. The family, the youth group, and the larger community. Anna was not just a person that you met and forgot. She was going to be a world changer. She was going to be an innovator that aimed to help people. She was larger than life. Anna had a lot of plans. She had huge plans of becoming an impactful nurse. She had plans to travel and do mission work. At the young age of 16, Anna wanted to travel with me to Haiti to do mission work with orphan children. Life got in the way and she never got to do it, but always had it in the back of her mind. Now that can never come true either. He took away all of this. No matter how many times myself and others try, this is just not a dream. This is a reality that we all live in now, a reality without our daughter, sister, friend, best friend, a reality without our Anna. The defendant deserves the longest amount of time possible to the recklessness recklessness of his crime in proportion to what he has taken away from our community. I feel that will allow us to not have to worry about him on the streets while we try to mend the wounds and heal the burns left on our minds and our hearts. No one deserves to feel this level of pain and hurt that the defendant has caused so many people. I don't want another family, another best friend, another youth leader, another aunt, another uncle, or another cousin to go through what Anna's family and friends have gone through. I don't believe there's enough time in the world that can be given that can make up for the damage that was done. But we take comfort in knowing that the court is a place of reason and justice. I hope my words are taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Mr. Cornell.
I'd like to call for Anna Bui. Let's stand right there.
Good morning, Mr. Ivanov.
Brad Ebner, B-R-A-D-E-B-N-E-R. I don't know if I could do this.
Take your time. As long as you need.
I used to think Jordan was at the wrong place at the wrong time. But he wasn't. He was in Mukilteo, a place he loved, with people he loved. He loved his friends so much. And then there's a coward with a gun who comes and takes it all away. I wanted the death penalty, just for the record. I wanted him to die. I still do. I wanted to be there to watch it happen. He took my first boy. I'll never get to see him get married. I have kids. What makes me smile a little bit today is the fact that I get to walk out of here free. Everybody in this room gets to walk out of here free, except for him. We get to leave here and go be with family, go visit a friend. We can go to the beach or the park, a movie, a ball game. We could walk out those doors and get in our car, turn the stereo up as loud as we want and just drive wherever we want. The sky's the limit. For him, not so much. I mean, he's 20. 20 is supposed to be the best years of your life. He'll be in prison. That puts a smile on my face. His 30s, he'll be in prison. 40s, he'll be in prison. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. That puts a smile on my face. I know mommy and daddy are going to try to protect him with money. It's prison. Money can only get you so far. Hell, it might make it worse. He'll experience pain, mentally, emotionally, physically. That puts a smile on my face. Life in prison is great. But I hope one day I turn on a TV or open a newspaper and see that he got what he truly deserved. Coward, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Ivanov.
Hi, I'd like to call Anna Bui. Annie Bui.
Good morning, Ms. Bui.
My name is Annie Bui, spelled Anny Bui. I am the sister of Anna Bui. When my family and I received the news that she was murdered, the world shook and our lives turned upside down. Every bit of me went numb. This really can't be happening. She has done nothing to deserve this. Neither did Jake or Jordan, and those who witnessed what happened that night. Growing up, like most siblings, Anna and I didn't always get along. Our age difference, our stubbornness, and me being the bossy sister got us into arguments. As we got older, I only yearned that my sister and I would be the kind of sisters to be best friends. I started praying, and I reminded myself to be the best sister. I reminded myself to be the best sister I can be, letting her know that I am always there for her no matter what. I apologize for not always being the nicest growing up, that I love her and I am so proud of who she was becoming. I hope to see her graduate as a nurse, and one day she would be my maid of honor, or share memories for future kids of the amazing Europe trip we had this past summer. Our family dynamic drastically changed after Anna was gone. I find that my family struggles to discuss our emotions to each other. A frown face and walking away from the situation is typical when I ask my brothers how they are doing with this. The emotion that arises from this senseless act affects our family's ability to concentrate. All the concentration seems to go to wanting Anna back and thinking what happened to her during the time of the shooting. We keep questions, thoughts, and feelings amongst ourselves. When the littlest things get to us, we explode with anger, yelling, or end up with tears rushing down our faces. I often find myself trying to catch my breath and feeling sick to my stomach. Family roles shifted, finding myself looking after my brothers even more. I am afraid to go out with friends or not wanting to leave my house. I don't want to lose another loved one. Not enough words can sum up the agony that my family and I experience. Now that my one and only sister is gone, I can no longer make or share memories with Anna, have a heart-to-heart conversation about life with her, to be able to travel the world again with her, or to wrap my arms around her again and tell her how proud I am of her. She was so young and full of life. She planned to help those in need and give back to her community. She loved the world and the people she crossed paths with. Having to wake up every morning, dreading to get out of bed, knowing that my sister's life has been robbed too soon. The terrifying images in my head of the way she died, having to constantly remind myself that I still have a life and that I need to keep going with all of this, that the fact that I would never physically see her again is the worst nightmare. I'm angry at what happened to Anna. I am sad, I am in pain, I am numb, and I feel betrayed. I feel betrayed because I cared and trusted Mr. Ivanov with my baby sister, and now that trust is broken. I hope that Mr. Ivanov serves the maximum sentence for all the crimes that he committed, for the actions he had done. Ripped the most precious little sister, daughter from my family, and we will have to live with this for the rest of our lives, for as long as we breathe. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Bui.
And Ms. Bui has shared with me that that her father does not wish to address the court. And at this time, we have one final sentencing participant. I'd like to call Autumn Snyder to address the court.
Good morning, Ms. Snyder.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Autumn Snyder, AUTUMNSNIDER. Jacob Michael Long is my son. I no longer have Jake with me in person, so I chose today to bring him with me. This is what I have left of my son. Ashes in an urn that sits on my mantle. My life was shattered on July 30th, 2016. That was the night that Jake was brutally and senselessly murdered by Alan Ivanov. As a parent, you spend your entire life panicked that something will happen to your child. You hear of children lost too soon to cancer, accidents, and less often violence. You say to yourself, I could never survive that if it happened to me. I can't imagine what that is like. And that statement is true. You cannot comprehend the overwhelming pain caused by child loss unless you have lost your child. There are no words to adequately describe how horrific it is. The pain begins behind my eyes. It constricts my throat. I feel like I can no longer swallow. It seeps down into my chest where my heart is squeezed to the point that I am just sure it's going to explode. Somehow it doesn't, so the pain continues to my stomach, where it burns and twists into aching, painful knots. I know that there has to be no way that my body will make it another minute. How could it? It hurts too much. But somehow I take that next breath. I think that some people believe that the worst feeling when you've lost a child would be to go to bed at night and face repeated nights of sleeplessness, to relive the violence and sadness and horror of losing your child. But I can tell you that is not true. Eventually you cry yourself into exhaustion and you fall asleep. And the worst part is when you wake up, you see the sun shining, you take a deep breath, you roll over, and then it hits you. Your baby is dead. My sweet Jacob is dead. It's not a new day. It's a continuation of a repeating nightmare. Monday, January 9th was Jake's 20th birthday. It was supposed to be his 20th birthday. Instead, it was his first birthday in heaven. I will never see Jake turn 20, 30, 40, or 50. Jake will never graduate college, never get married, and never have children. I will never be a grandma to his kids. Jake is gone. He is dead, and Alan killed him.
Jake has 2 younger siblings. William is 6 and Maddie is 4. There is no way for children that young to comprehend the idea that their brother has died. They do not understand permanent loss, and they shouldn't have to. They shouldn't have to live the rest of their lives knowing that their brother was brutally and senselessly murdered by a weak-minded, entitled man. Raising William and Maddie over the last 6 months has been heart-wrenching, and at times I simply don't know what to say or do because nothing I say will make it better. I wonder if I should be honest with them. Should I shelter them? I wonder how I can explain to a 4-year-old that her brother has died and he is never coming home. I don't know how to say, no, Maddie, you will never see him again, and no, Maddie, Mommy can't fix this. How do I protect their hearts and minds without giving them false hope? But I try. Typically our days start out okay. Excuse me. I wake the kids up, and as I drive them to daycare, I look for ways to start their morning in a positive way. We look for the beauty in the sunrise. We comment on the mountains, and on really good mornings, Maddie peeks out the window and shouts, "Good morning" to Jake. Our evenings are a very different story. Each and every night, like clockwork, Maddie gets in the car and she asks about Jake. William, who is 6, turns to her and tells her not to talk about it because it makes Mommy cry. I remind them that crying is okay and that it's okay to miss Jake. This usually gets us through the 15-minute drive to our house. By bedtime, Maddie, who again is 4, has fully melted down. And so every single night, I hold my baby girl while she sobs into my shirt, begging and screaming for Jake to come back. She says, "Mommy, am I gonna die? Is the bad man going to kill me too? Why did Jake have to die? Please, Mommy, I want my Jakey back." And all I can do is sit with her, cry with her, and say, "Me too, Maddie, me too." I hold her until she is calmed down. I put her to bed, and then it's my turn to sob, beg, and plead for Jake to come home. When Jake was born, he had a really tough first year. He was sick all the time, and he spent many weeks in and out of the hospital with severe jaundice, pneumonia, and RSV. I was constantly worried that he wouldn't leave the hospital, and as much as they tried, they couldn't get me to leave the room. I made them wheel a bed in there, and I slept at his bedside day and night for weeks. I wouldn't leave to shower or to eat. As Jake grew into toddlerhood, I packed him up and I moved to Seattle to provide Jake with a better life that I thought I had found in Mukilteo. Jake started kindergarten in 2002, and soon after it was confirmed that Jake was intellectually gifted and physically capable of excelling in baseball and any sport he tried. Jake was placed into the Summit program, which is a highly intelligent, gifted program for youth. He joined the select baseball team and began 13 years of intense academics and full-time commitment to baseball. Jake was particularly good at improv. He loved to make people laugh. He had a smile on his face and an endless appetite, both of which he took with him as he made the rounds to his many friends' homes in Mukilteo. After graduation, Jake was accepted to the University of South Florida. I was really, really proud. I was so proud. And I was really sad. I was really sad that my little boy would be across the country. And I wondered what I would do if there was an emergency. But I sucked up my sadness. I put on a brave face. I boarded the plane with him, and I dropped my baby off at college. We used this opportunity to spend a week at the beach in Florida, and I am so incredibly thankful each and every day that I was able to have that one last vacation with my son. Jake returned to Washington during the Christmas break and told me he wanted to be closer to home. He was homesick. He wanted to be with his friends and his family.
I was secretly filled with joy. My son was back home where I could keep him safe. When he picked WSU for his sophomore year, I was beyond excited. This was just far enough away for Jake to have his independence, but I would be able to visit often, and he could come home for weekends and breaks. I know this to be true because I get to see my son's friends go to WSU, come home for Christmas, come home for breaks, and I get to see their parents go to the football games and parents' weekends. And I won't have that. The last time I saw my son alive, I fed him, I did his laundry, and I sent him home with a big bag of leftovers, much to his resistance. He stated he couldn't eat them because he would be leaving in 2 days for orientation. That said, he humored me. He gave me a big hug. He said, "I love you, Mama," and he left. The next time I saw my son was at his viewing. He no longer looked like Jake. His face was caked in makeup. His essence was completely gone. He was cold to the touch. And as much as I squeezed his hand, he did not squeeze back. The cremation director came in to let me know he would return Jake's funeral clothing to me and that he would remove it prior to cremation. I began to sob, and I said, "No, I can't do that." They said he'll be really cold, and I can't let him go on a cold metal gurney, naked to a vault of heat that would reduce my son to nothing more than ash and pebbles. I asked that he keep his clothing on, and I had him wear his favorite moccasins so he would be comfortable. I then asked them to cremate him in his casket so that he wouldn't be so scared.
Nightside.
Eventually, I had to walk away and leave my son's body, knowing I would never see or touch him again. Alan Ivanov has stolen so much from so many people. The impact of his actions has had a ripple effect. 3 innocent children are dead because Alan killed them. 18 lives have been irreparably broken and damaged by the horrors they witnessed that night. Hundreds of friends and family members feel helpless as they and the entire community sit in shock, broken and hurting. But we will rebuild. We will find a way to honor the memories of Jake, Anna, and Jordan. Alan put his own selfish wants above the sanctity of life. Alan's story isn't about Anna. It isn't about love, and it isn't about a broken heart. It is about a man who wanted to feel what it was like to kill people. About a man who wanted others to think that he was in control and wanted to be the center of attention. So what I am thankful for today is that today, Alan, your story ends. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder.
I believe that David Bui, Anna Bui's brother, wants to address the court.
Of course.
When I first found out about what happened, I found it really hard to believe. Because one, it was in Mukilteo, Washington, supposed to be safe environment. Nothing like that ever happens here. And then I find out it was from Mr. Ivanov, my sister's ex-boyfriend. I was in denial. Like, why would someone do that? Why would you do that to someone you claim you love? How can you kill somebody that you were so close to? I didn't really understand why someone would do that. How someone could raise such a coward. My sister had a lot of stuff going on for her. Now it's all gone. Our family, we'll never see her again. The last time I saw her, she was getting ready to go out. just being happy. And then when I saw her, she's in the casket. Every night when I go to bed, I think about why she's not here. Why they kidnapped her family. See his parents because we're not able to see our sister. We have a little brother who's 12. He's way too young to be dealing with what we're dealing with right now. He's gonna grow up different. Grow up probably sheltered. That's not fair. Our life's gonna be different from here on out. Everywhere we go, we have to worry if we're gonna be safe or not. Such a spirit about him. I mean, just that kid came in a room and splashed that grin, and it just lit everybody up. I mean, you couldn't help but love Jordan. He really was the best of a lot of people that loved him deeply. His light shined every day. He was the best of all of us. It's easy at a time like this to let hate and anger take over. I've had to fight it myself many days. Trying to tell my 6-year-old son that somebody gunned down his beautiful older brother, and Jake, his 16-year-old brother, having to take a phone call from Alex Levine letting him know that his brother had been shot just after midnight. It's hard not to let that take over your spirit. And I just keep going back to Jordan. I keep seeing that grin and that light. And I just want Alan Ivanov to know that his hateful, dark, disgusting, vile act will rot in prison with him. We refuse to let that rule our lives. You have not ruined
ruined our lives, you have ruined yours. Every day, we will keep Jordan's beautiful spirit alive. We will live love for Jordan because that's who he was and that's how we honor him. That's all I have to say.